I think it's just us. Um, Before we get into the topic, I want to ask you: have you heard about the Mac Mini?
I've seen like on my feed
Dude,
because
people are blown away. The M4,
yeah,
it's only
I hear
like
it's like
$700.
twice as fast as the M1 or something like that.
It's
Crazy
better than
fast.
the M1 laptop I'm on right now.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Holy crap! I'm not. I don't even need it, and
I,
I'm thinking I'm buying it.
I know, right? I'm like, you're like, oh, it's really cool. So what you're doing? What I first did, my first thought was, oh, I'm what? How can I use
Do
this
I
thing?
need it?
I haven't. I have a
It's.
Mac. I have a Mac Studio.
They said it's
So,
as good as that, comparable, speed and everything, power.
well, yeah, this is a bit
It
bigger
also looks
and
more like the Mac Studio,
right, right,
a
right.
little bit, and all that. But
That's technology for you. It's always going to get better, which is great.
I know, but it'd be great to have a gaming rig off in another room. But
Dude, Mac is terrible for games.
yeah, Apple don't do games. They
No,
suck
you know
at
what they need to do? They need to come out with a Rosetta for gaming.
games.
That's what they need. They need to emulate a PC and then just run games.
That's right. That's totally right. Okay, so you and I started to use the term dream team probably 3 weeks ago,
That was
and
longer than that, but
at least
anyway,
a month ago.
yeah.
Okay, so I heard nobody ever use that term. Okay,
I think I've heard people say it.
yeah, for the Lakers. I mean, you know.
No, no, no. I know that, but I mean, I thought I have to think, but I thought I heard people say it. Not just. It's not like we invented it,
Oh
but
no,
we've been
I
calling
invented.
them the
I just
dream
started
team.
calling it the dream team.
Yeah, yeah. Same
But
here.
once
Yeah.
you and I talked about it,
Well, the dream team is basically Trump's people. Who are the no? So now, let me just say why I think this is um, probably, at least in our lifetime, a
we don't
once in
even
a
know who's a
lifetime.
part of it completely.
No, we don't. But this is a once in a lifetime event. And why? Well, none of them, except for maybe JD Vance,
Right,
are politicians. Trump's not a
right,
politician. He's a business guy.
yeah.
He did TV, and that's his thing. And not that I want to pigeonhole anybody. I mean, but he's not a politician, and I
He
think
did
that's why
Home
people
Alone
like
too,
him.
dude.
I know, right? Well, I mean, come
What are your
on.
Christmas movies?
Reagan did movies before he was, the
Bedtime
president
for
and stuff.
Bonzo.
Right. So I think, and you look at Tulsi Gabbard, right? You look
Right.
at, I mean, she's a politician to a degree, but she came out of the military, right? And then, so I don't see her as a career politician. Like Gavin Newsom is a career politician. That dude, he'll either be selling vacuum cleaners, used cars, or running for governor of the great state of California. So you're looking at people like Elon Musk, not a politician.
He's
Robert
business.
Kennedy, not a politician, right?
Right.
He's just not a
Right.
standard. I mean, he's a Kennedy, yes, but I really don't know his. To be honest, never heard of him until recently, until he was running for president.
I
And
didn't even know he was a person.
right, you didn't know he even existed. Yeah, I'm
No.
like, I don't care. I don't follow the Kennedys. What do I care? So all of a sudden, I hear this guy talking on Joe Rogan and other podcasts, and I'm starting listening to him. Some of the stuff he says a little out there. Okay, it's a
Yeah.
little out there.
Little
I don't
Bernie.
know about that, right? But other things he says right on point to what I already know to be true.
Right.
So that doesn't mean everything he says is true. But what he's being tasked to do, I feel, is he knows and he is right on 100% because I do know he's right on this stuff.
Right.
So I'm looking at people who aren't your average, team that you would bring on. I before I saw Trump on Rogan, I was voting for Trump to vote against Kamala. Okay.
Right.
I looked at Kamala as bad as I looked at Sarah Palin. Okay. They're both mental midgets, and I don't know why either party would put them up in front and say, vote for this person because she's a woman. I mean, it's not
Right.
good enough. Sorry. Tulsi Gabbard, however, I would vote for, not because she's a woman, because I would vote for her because I liked the things she said. And I
Yeah.
look at her and I go, there's someone that you want, someone who isn't going to put us into a war because she's been to war. Okay. So that's a huge benefit there. So you look at the team and you look and you say, okay, this is a team of people who are coming from other areas of the world. They're not these career politicians that, been doing this for 30 years before they get into office, before they get into the federal offices and such. So that's why I look at them as a dream team.
Right.
So the question now is, what are they going to do? So I can say a couple things that I've heard. Like, nothing I say has any, I'm not a primary source for anything, right? I'm just going to say what I heard. So take everything what I say with a grain of salt. So I've heard that Robert Kennedy is going, and this is the thing that I care about the most, right? Is going to go after the FDA. Okay. And I, me with carnivore diet and all my nutrition and fitness that I've been doing over the last 8 years, it's been a huge part of my life and a real eye opener as to all the evils that have gone on in, behind the scenes. Everything that I suspected about climate change, right, I saw in nutrition. So what I mean, let me explain what I mean by that. So I remember, I don't know, 15,
Sorry,
17 years ago.
Let me explain. I had to laugh.
Oh, sorry. So wait, hold on. So here it is. 17 years ago, I remember saying to a friend of mine, I don't know about climate change. I'm not sure about climate change. And let me tell you why I'm not. Because I heard about it from a politician before I heard about it from a scientist. Okay? That's why I don't trust it. Right. And so my friend said, he goes, he didn't know either. He was kind of shrugging about it. At the time, it was fairly kind of a new subject and all. And I, over the years, came to the conclusion that that was the right initial reaction I had, but that the science had been bought. I had no evidence of this whatsoever, but I didn't think about this. Okay. And I joke about this. I would joke about this. You're a climate scientist, right? You're at a party, you're a single guy, you're at a party and, people are asking you, hey, beautiful woman comes up and you start chatting her up and she's asked you, what do you do? And you say, oh, I'm a climate scientist. And her eyes glaze over, right? Nobody gives a shit about you. You're a climate scientist. Nobody knows what you do. Like, oh, you try to predict the weather? And no, that's not what we do, right? You have no idea. And nobody gives a shit about what you do, okay? So that's what you're up against, right? And then all of a sudden, you guys are rock stars, right? Everyone's talking about global warming. Everyone wants to know. You're at a new party, right? And a nice looking woman comes up to you and you start chatting her up and you say, oh, I'm a climate scientist. Now, all of a sudden, boom. Oh, tell me more about global warming. She's concerned. And all of a sudden, you're the center of attention. People are listening to what you have to say. Okay. Now, now you guys are kind of get together with all your climate scientist buddies and you're all kind of talking and stuff. And your buddy's like, one of your guys in your group is like, I don't know about this global warming thing. It sounds like we need some more science on this. And I don't know. And he's starting to doubt. He's giving me reasons why. And I'm like, whoa, dude, whoa, you're screwing things up for us. We got the gravy train right here. Like, no. We got to ostracize him. We got to shut him down because he's going to ruin it for the rest of us. Okay. This is their gravy train. This is their time to shine, whether they're going to make money or feel important or feel that people care about what they're doing or what they're doing is important. All of those things go to their ego. Okay. And we're all human. So I completely understand that reaction. Okay. So that was my thought, that kind of thing was going on. And when I started studying about nutrition, I found that exactly is what was going on, right? The big industries were paying for studies, getting them published in publications, and then they were ostracizing anybody who spoke out against that. And I found evidence of that happening in the nutrition world. So when you look at that, right, that's where corruption has happened in our world, right? All of our institutions have been corrupted with big money and big business getting into them, okay? If I remember correctly, I can't remember if it was the 1800s or the early 1900s where this has happened before in history. It's
How about a long time ago?
yeah, but it's happened before, so it's not like it's unique. It's not like, oh, this is this was this isn't happening. Well, yeah, it has happened before, and we kind of know, but it's so pervasive at this point that it's gotten to the point where if we don't oust them now, maybe we'll never get them out. So having Robert Kennedy go into the FDA and start cleaning house is super exciting to me, because it's something that I've, like I said, studied for this, for the last 18 years. I've watched and I've read the studies, and when people now today are going back and looking at what happened, you see what went on. You see how there was selective. They would throw data out of a study, and they would only publish, like the 7-country study. Well, there were 21 countries in the data set, but only 7 of the countries supported his hypothesis. So he only published 7, and that's why it's called the 7-country study on saturated fats.
I have a quick question. The FDA, is that the same company that does medicine?
It's bureaucracy. You mean the agency? Sorry, agency. It's the agency. You mean? Yeah.
Is it the same?
Yes.
Same that approves
it's pharmaceutical. It's called the Food and Drug Administration. So yes.
That's right. Okay. So that kind of conflict of interest, right?
Well,
you got diabetics over here eating crap food, and then they're taking the medicine.
But imagine, no, not necessarily. Imagine you had a working FDA, and they were not influenced by big pharma or by big food. Well, now they are connected, clearly connected. Basically, people eat badly, and then they get sick, and then they go to big pharma. So they buy bad food, go to big pharma, get pills that they take over and over again for the rest of their lives.
It's a big conflict.
Right. Well, no, it's not a conflict. It's not a conflict.
It's one hand washes the other.
No, it's not. It's not. It's symbiotic. They have a symbiotic relationship. It isn't like they sat in a room and said, okay, we're going to create food that's going to feed this industry. There's no reason the food industry should do that. The food industry just created addictive foods that were cheap for them to manufacture, highly palatable, highly addicted foods that were cheap to manufacture. Well, they only cared about their profits going up, So remember, like I was talking last time about George Carlin. He said there doesn't have to be conspiracy. He was debating someone at the time. He says when their interests align, that's good enough. So they don't have to sit in a room and say, hey, we're one hand washing it. That doesn't have to happen. These two independent things can happen, So if you look at the pharmaceutical industry, what were they doing? They were going, oh, wait a minute. And I heard this on a guy and a doctor and his sister, who's also, I believe, a doctor. They wrote a book, and they were on Joe Rogan as well as a bunch of other podcasts. And I listened to him. I don't remember which podcast that I heard him say this, but he was saying when the pharmaceutical industry looked at birth control pills, for the first time they had a pill that the consumer would take every day for a very long period of time. And the profit margin on that was huge. Think about it. Everything else, you would take a pill for a while and then you stop taking it, right? Your doctor would prescribe something, antibiotics and things like that. It would solve the problem and you were done. And then there's no more money going into the pharmaceutical industry at that point, from you at least, right? So now, if you look at the birth control pill, it's something that women have to take every day for decades, maybe a couple decades, decade and a half, depending on when you start, right? So, and when you go through your changes. So if you look at that,
right,
and what is their incentive? To increase their profit. So they go, well, we need to spend more of our research dollars in the area of pharmaceuticals that people have to take for the rest of their life. Right. AIDS, another area. AIDS, that's another area where people have to take it. And if it's life-threatening, even better. because they don't have a choice. They can't go out and exercise or go out and stop eating crap food, and all of a sudden they don't need you anymore. If you have to take this, that's a sweet spot to be in. So you have two industries, right? Self-interest, right? And what they've done is they've just tried to help themselves, but in reality, the food industry is sending people to the pharmaceutical industry, but they didn't intend to do that. They intended to create highly palatable, highly addictive, cheap food that they can sell in a package for a lot of money. Like it costs, like you think about cereal box, right? I haven't bought cereal in like 20
Oh my
years.
God.
But
Have you
how much
you
does
looked
cereal
at the
cost?
boxes? They're like this narrow. I mean,
But
they're
yeah, but how
super
much does the cereal box cost? I mean, to buy a box of cereal.
I haven't bought cereal in years.
Yeah. So let's just say last time, say it's $5 or $6. I'm probably off, but let's just say it's $6. If it's $6, it's probably 30 cents for the product that's in there, and including the box and the bag. We're talking 30 cents, and now you're paying $6. That's part of the reason when you go to the cereal aisle, you'll see the ones that are just in bags. Those are cheap. Right. It's packaging. You are paying a lot for packaging. Right. When you look at people who are buying the worst foods, mostly they have their food in a bag or their food in a box. Okay. Those are the worst foods you could buy. But most food is in a bag or a box. Can, a little bit better. Right. Right. Just separate, just the whole food itself, the best. So you're paying a lot for that. So that's all the food industry was trying to do. So let's go back to Robert Kennedy, having him go in and, number one, get the influence of those two industries the hell out of the FDA, clean house, and have them do their job or get rid of the agency altogether. If you're not doing your job, what are we doing? Right? So
are you saying
there is a place. There is a place for the FDA, by the way. There is a place in this world for that. And so, but you could take this huge bureaucracy and corrupt system, and you could go, okay, we're just going to scrap it and start all over. I think that would be a mistake. Or we're just going to shrink it. I think that's the right thing to do. Let's talk about the
I'm sorry, the FDA, let me just jump in. What bothered me a lot was when we went through COVID, the FDA did zero testing. They didn't do any of their job. Nothing.
Right.
How did you feel about that? Did that drive you nuts? That they didn't go through the testing phase?
I understand why they didn't. I understand. No, they did. They just sped it up. And I get it. You got people dying. What are you going to do? Like, here's the thing. It's really easy to sit on the sidelines and say, oh, you're this, that, and the other, right? But imagine your job is to make that decision, okay?
Right.
It changes everything, okay? So it's really easy to sit online, get on social media, and go, oh, this is stupid, and all that. But if you had to make that decision, that would be a very hard decision to make, especially with not enough information, okay?
Right.
It's always easy, 2020 is great hindsight, look back and go, no pun on the 2020 thing, but look back and go, well, look, they made all these mistakes. But when you're right there and trying to make that decision now, and you're going, should we, rush this? And you see people dying all over yes, totally. But you tell people, you don't go and do this huge campaign and lie to people. You tell them, look, this is risky, right? You have to choose between the risk of taking it or the risk of getting it.
Not taking it, right.
Right. So, I mean, and you let people choose. So that whole thing was done wrong. Okay. So, and I'm sure that was money driven.
Okay.
So that was clearly money driven. So let's go to the Department of Education now. I want to move from.
Wait. I want to ask you about RFK real quick. How do you think he'll clean it up?
I don't know.
Walking in isn't enough.
Look. Okay, so look. Okay, here's the thing. I don't have any insight to that. I know how it can be done. I know how it should be done, but I don't know how it will be done. Okay, so it can be done lots of ways, right? You can go in there with an axe and think you know better than everyone there. So, like, imagine you're Elon or you're right, and you're like, well, I know how to run business. Yeah, well, government is different than business. Okay, there are vastly different parts of creating an efficient organization is the same. Okay, structure and reporting and all that stuff.
Right.
But the goals are very different. So I think that's where you have to really learn. So I would go in, if I was Elon or Robert, I would go in and I would look at this thing and say, okay, I know I don't know enough. I'm an expert of efficiency and things like that, but I need to learn. And I'm going to go into this department and I'm going to ask the people there, right? Not the people at the top. Can't trust them. For two reasons. They're probably the most corrupt, number one. And number two, they're removed from the people who are doing all the work every day, right? People on the front lines are the ones that know. Like you go into any business, right? And you say, well, what's wrong with the company? You ask the president and he'll say, well, there's nothing wrong with my company, right? But if you go down to the people at the 14 levels below that guy, exactly, they know all the things that are wrong. Well, it's stupid how we're doing this, but that's just the way we're doing things, right? And there's where you learn. So you learn it you have to go down so many layers till you get to the layer where those are the people who are actually making the company or the agency actually run. Who's really running? Like you could get rid of the top people and the thing would still keep running. Okay. Those are the people you want to talk to.
Right.
You want to say, oh, if I keep getting rid of people, at what point do I break the system? And then you go, oh, that's my line. You talk to those people as high up as you can. Okay. So you talk to these people. You learn.
We know.
Wait, let me finish. Let me answer your question. Wait, let me finish. I want to answer your question.
Okay.
So that's how you do it. You talk to them, you learn, and then you take what you've learned and your experience of making efficient systems, and then you go. And that's how you would do it. That's how you should do it. How they'll do it, I have no idea. All right, go ahead.
Now, we know for a fact RFK Jr. has been asked to task the FDA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that. We also know Elon has been asked to audit agencies, to overlook and audit them, each one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's already agreed to do it. RFK's already agreed to do it. Who would you assign for the Department of Education?
I have no idea.
I think Tulsi Gabbard, because she's a woman. I think
no. I wouldn't do it for that reason. She's not. I don't know enough about. So here's the thing. I would talk to each of them. Say it my job. I would talk to each of them to see who's the most passionate about education. Whoever's the most passionate about education should do it. And I don't know who that is.
Interesting. I'm curious. Tulsi Gabbard, what, military?
Yeah, but she's more than just that.
Right.
She's more than just that.
Exactly. Okay.
So here's the thing. Okay. So let's talk about the Department of Education. Okay. So and I think I learned this from Vivek. Okay. So because I learned it from him, if I had to pick, and I don't get any more information, I'd probably pick Vivek. Right. Only because I heard information about it from him.
Right.
That's all I know. So I know so little to make such a decision. So Vivek said, do you know what the original goal of the Department of Education was?
What?
It was to keep white schools from siphoning the money away from black schools down in the South. Okay? So there's a process that was going on, I don't know, was it the 60s, sometime before civil rights or something, where that was going on, and they created the Department of Education, and that was their original goal. He was saying, and I'm just quoting him, and probably badly, but he was saying, like, we don't have that problem anymore. That's an old problem, but the Department of Education has grown huge, right? And so he said, I love this. I absolutely love this. And so now I can answer your question better. He's probably the right person for the Department of Education. He said, we shouldn't create departments. We should create task force, right? You create a task force because when the task is complete, you break up the task force and they can go away. You don't create a permanent structure to solve a single problem. So what's really interesting is when I heard that, I went, that's the way I've been thinking about charities for the last 10 years, at least. I don't like giving to charities. Okay. Why? Well, when was the last time that you heard of a charity getting started to solve a problem They solve it, right? So that's the first thing. They solve it, and then they shut their doors because the problem was solved. One charity, that's all I ask.
Never.
Thank you. I have never heard of a single charity doing that. Not even the March of Dimes. Not even the March of Dimes.
So what you're saying is a task force. You're saying the whole dream team take each problem?
No.
Or make a whole new group?
No, I'm saying Vivek said, instead, imagine you go back in time, okay? And you go, oh, we have a problem. White schools are siphoning off money from predominantly black schools. Okay, we got to solve that. Create a task force. You don't create the department of anything. You create a task force. They're tasked with fixing that problem. When that problem's fixed, you break them up. They're done. You guys succeeded. We need you to go do other things now, right? Go solve other problems.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
It's like a great idea. See, that they should be doing that with charities. See, the problem with charities is the exact same problem you have with the pharmaceutical industry. If they solve the problem, they don't have any of the benefit.
Right.
So I started a charity. I'm out of business. Well, they're nonprofit. No, that's not true. The corporation doesn't profit, but the individuals profit heavily. All they got to do for that charity is pay the CEO a huge salary. That's how they profit. They just siphon the money out of the charity such that it has got no profit. That's basically, they're just, right? That's what they're doing. So you have this same reward system that you have in the pharmaceutical industry. If I solve your problem, you don't need me anymore. You're not going to come to me. That's why when you go to a chiropractor, they make you come and, they're going to adjust you for 14 months, because if they go crack and you're good and you walk out, well, then they'd have to charge you $1,000 for that back crack. And you're not going to go pay $1,000 for like 5 minutes of back crack. Right. So they're like, well, we got to do this long thing. And they stretch it all out. People want to make money. That's what they do. They do those kinds of things. Charities do them. Departments of education does it. They want to stay alive. So they find a new problem and then more stuff. And then they start doing all this other crap.
So now what I want to ask you is, who do you see on the dream team? Go down who you think for sure.
Well, it's everyone we know. It's everybody we know. It's everyone we know. You can name them.
Elon, J.D. Vance, Vivek, RFK Jr.
Right.
Now, I know you don't know who Dan Bongino is. He's like a Joe Rogan. He's got millions of followers. The guy is he used to be part of the Secret Service. I think he'd be a great addition to the team. He literally, during the assassination, kept telling people what they did wrong.
But that's fine. But that's not the team. That's not the team. He's not on the team yet. So who's on the team? You left Tulsi Gabbard off.
Tulsi Gabbard. Excuse me.
That's all I know of. What you just mentioned. That's it. That's all I know of.
What about Tucker Carlson and Kurt? What is the name?
Look, I don't know Tucker. Like I mean, I don't know him as well as I know everyone. Like I've never heard Tucker say what Vivek has said, right? Or what Elon has said. I haven't. He talks about things, and he has his opinions. But I kind of feel like the Vivek and Elon are the two, and Robert, right? Those three guys have said certain things, very specific things about government. Where I haven't heard, I've heard more general things, totally general things from other people.
It's not, Tucker's not.
While I like the general stuff, mostly, not all, but while I can go, oh yeah, generally we agree. I don't know what your passion is, and I don't know what your qualifications are. But I know when I listen to Robert Kennedy talk, I know that guy knows his shit. When he, I've been talking seed oils forever. Like, who else do you hear that isn't in the nutrition space talk about seed oils, right? You don't hear anyone talk about that poison.
I do want to reference RFK Jr. not only is talking about the bad stuff in food, but is talking about the health conditions of America. Yeah. In addition to the food. So
Yeah.
his interests on fixing the FDA goes a lot deeper than food. It
Oh
goes a
no,
lot.
there's no doubt. So I want to talk about that. Thank you for reminding me. So here's something. When we were kids, do you remember the presidential seal? Once a
Um,
year, you had to do run, and you had to do pull-ups, and you had
oh
to do
yeah,
sit-ups.
I took a big old L on that.
Oh, I did too, dude. I did too. Don't get me wrong. I took the big L. But that's because they didn't train us. Okay. They just stopped. Typical school, right? You take a great idea. President Kennedy had a great idea, and the implementation was shit. Common Core was a great idea. If you read what the Common Core says, right?
Right.
Not how it's implemented, but just the idea of Common Core, I agree with it wholeheartedly. The implementation was shit. Okay. So it's like you have this great idea and then you hand it to a moron and they fuck it up every time. Every time. Every time.
Okay.
So I remember they'd stop everything and it's like, oh, we have to do the presidential seal thing. And if you're naturally gifted as an athlete, you always got one. Okay. But if you're not, I would get up there to do my pull-ups and I would go, and just my right arm would go up just a little bit. That was it, dude. That was it. That was my pull-up as a kid. Right?
I couldn't even get up there, dude.
Oh, yeah, I could at least get up there.
Yeah,
Barely.
I had to get like 5 guys to lift me up. Hold
Right,
on
so-
to me. Ready? Here we go.
Well, here's the thing. If you're going to implement, I want us to implement that again. Okay. So that's why the 60s and 70s kids look so much better than 80s, 90s, and 2000s and so on. Partly. Okay. So here's the thing. If you're going to implement that again, you have to implement it right. And the way you implement it right is to train. You train for it. Okay. And part of training, sorry, some little thing popped up on my screen. And part of that training is like when I started exercising at 54. Okay. So I've been doing this 8 years. So I started training at 54. All right. It took me a year and a half to do my first pull-up of my life. Okay. But I was 3 days a week
How did
for a
it
year and a
feel?
half. I was like, oh shit, I can do a pull-up. And you know what I said? You know what my next words were? Okay.
Get my first grade teacher.
No. Okay. I want my presidential seal. No. I said, okay, I will never not be able to do a pull-up again. I'm never going back. I said, and I do pull-ups better than anyone in my class. Right?
Wow.
And the thing is that what was the difference? I could have done these pull-ups when I was a kid. Why couldn't I? Because I didn't train. I worked out my lats. I did other exercises that built up my lats, right? You do banded pull-ups. So you have this like huge rubber band and you put your feet in it and you do the banded pull-ups. And then you do eccentric, very slow, right? Eccentric movement down. That builds up those muscles. Maybe you need help getting the chin over the bar, but then you can come down slowly, okay? And that slowly builds up your lats. And as you slowly build them, it was just an accident that I did a pull-up. I wasn't like, oh, yeah.
Would that fall in the Department of Education with the physical education?
I think it would. It would. It would be like federally mandated. Like you would federally mandate that schools have to do that, right? We're trying to get kids healthy again. I would reinstitute that. And it wouldn't just be PE. What was PE in school? It was stupid.
It was dodgeball. It was don't get hit.
It was stupid. No, we did all kinds of things. We did football. We did some like dodgeball on a tennis court, whatever they called that.
Foursquare.
Heads up, butts up. It was heads up, butts up, right? So the losing team had to go butts up against the right. So everyone's butts were facing the opposing team, and they each got a chance to throw a ball at you. It was just for the stupid coaches to get off on, right? They were jerks. They were absolute jerks. I actually did archery in high school as part of my PE. But what I would rather have, I mean, that's great. I think that people should be able to do that. But I think what people need more is learning how to run, working on some simple weightlifting, women and men. Like I work out with more women than men, and they're strong, and I have mad respect for these women. They work hard, and so you need to build that up from the beginning. So it's just a natural progression when you leave school that you still maintain that level of health as you move on. So
you can move health class into PE and combine the two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you learn like nutrition. You should be learning about nutrition. And what did they teach though? Once the food pyramid came out, they taught that as nutrition because that was federally mandated, right? The USDA is in charge. What is the purpose of that agency? Is to promote agriculture, not health. They care about their farmers selling their product. So what are they going to promote? The product that the farmers are growing, right? So all of this stuff, if you look, it's all been corrupted over time by self-interest or outside interests. So you have to try to look at, if you're going to revamp something, is to try to put in place some governing process to make sure that that isn't going on anymore, right? And it's easier to do in government actually than it is to do in business, because the only reason for a business to be exist is to make money, right? So it can easily get corrupted. But a government, you can say, well, we don't have to make money. We just have to reach our goals.
Right.
So it's a lot easier than but that's why you have rules, right? So you put these rules in place so that it doesn't go off the rails. And you limit their powers, right? Like the ATF. So there's something that can completely disappear. The ATF has done nothing over the last, decade than to harass its citizens. Meanwhile, guns come flooding over the border. No problem. Drugs coming over the border. Hey guys, how about not worrying about pistol braces for the disabled to be able to still shoot their pistols? How about you figure out how to keep the drugs? But you know why they do what they do? Two reasons.
Why?
Politics, right? You got all these gun control nuts who want to take the guns out of everyone's hands. So they just want to make their lives as miserable as they possibly can. Okay, that's the first thing. And the second thing is it's an easy problem to solve. There's no problem, by the way, but it's an easy thing to solve. So they create a problem that doesn't exist, and then they go solve it. Way easier than what they should be doing.
Right. Okay, so let's get back on track. The dream team. When do you think that it will happen? I mean, we're dreaming, literally.
No. I mean,
we're not
what?
sure they're
you don't
all
think it's going to happen? No, it's totally going to happen. Totally.
Yeah.
Trump is already funding his team, his transition team. He's not waiting for the government. He's starting to fund it now.
You think it'll be like right away?
It's already. What did I just said? Now it's going on right now. They may not have any power yet. They're already being funded. He's funding it.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. I just gotta say, this is one guy that likes his country. That's all.
So here's my thought. Here's my
Anybody else would have bailed.
True, 100%. But here's my thought and hope. Okay, it's all hope, mostly hope. That he got in there and he thought he was going to do a bunch of stuff, right? And two bad things happened. Number one, he wasn't prepared for the first, right? So he's like, oh shit, like the dog who chases the car and actually gets to catch it. Now what, right? And COVID happened. Okay, right. So he was by this middle of his term getting the ball rolling finally, and then boom, a big roadblock of COVID. Then he loses the re-election, which is, in my opinion, the best thing that ever happened. The best. Why? It gave him time to think. It gave him time to sit on the sidelines and really look, not be in the day-to-day.
And what he didn't do the first term?
And right, not just that, but he already has experience being a president. He knows all the ins and outs of that. And now he gets to step back, not have to work, and think and plan and go, okay, these are where the mistakes were made. This is what I want to do. Check, 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 and go in. I don't care who you are. You run for president, you don't know what the hell you're doing. No one does. You have no idea. Oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And they all go in there with all these promises, and then they go in and they realize, holy shit, I can't do half these things. I can't even do a quarter of them.
Yeah.
So he has a real sense of what he could or could not do. I think if he had contiguous back-to-back administrations, that he wouldn't be as effective. It wouldn't be as effective because it would just all blur into one big time period, right? But
So
having that, right? I said it's the best thing that happened. So by having him come out of the fray and be an outsider for 4 years and see how they're running it into the ground and what they're doing wrong, you learn more from what people do wrong than what they do right. Okay? I always say when I'm trying to learn music or learn about filmmaking or any endeavor, I always look at the bad movies, right? Look at the worst movies. You learn more from a bad movie than you learn from a great movie. A great movie, you're watching Spielberg, you're like, oh my God, it's amazing. And you don't think.
Right.
You're just in the moment. But if it's a bad movie, you're like all over this shit. You're like, this is the dumbest thing ever.
It's
right?
like on Amazon, you only read the bad reviews.
Right. So you see the bad and you learn from the bad. Okay. So he's seen the bad. He learns from the bad. He knows what he wants to do. He realizes I listened to the wrong people. All of these things, and you get a second chance. But you get this gap in between, and that gap in between, if you utilize it effectively, is going to be super powerful because you go in, hit the ground running. Right. He's itching to get in there and clean this shit up, to do what he said he was going to do in the first administration, but he couldn't. When he was here in California, he talked about how he was going to force California to stop dumping all of our water into the ocean. Remember we talked about that?
Right.
And he was, just about ready to seal that deal, and then COVID hit, and he couldn't. So when he was here talking about it, he's like, I want to do that. That's something I want to do. So the federal government, like you look at New York and California, they like panic because they know they're pulling bullshit. And the federal government's just going to say, you want our money? You want federal money? Yeah, stop that shit that you're doing to your citizens over there.
Okay, before we break it up, I want to talk about you supported an organization. Can I mention it or not?
Oh, yeah. It's the Make America Healthy Again, MAHA. And I donated some money to them, not a lot, but I donated money because I put my money where my mouth is. Well, it's Robert Kennedy's movement.
Okay.
That's
Robert Kennedy's
funding that.
In control of it.
Yes. In fact, it came from his video. He mentions it, and it was underneath on his YouTube channel. And it's MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, now. Okay.
MAHA now.
Right. .org. And you can go donate something, anything. Right. If enough people do it, just to help move us in that direction. If you care
about that. If you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you care, I think you're going to benefit from that process, whether you care or you don't. And here's the thing. We don't talk about this in this country much, but without health, you don't have wealth. Your health is your wealth. And you don't learn that till you're older. When you're young, you waste your health, right? You blow it. There's an old saying that says, when you're young, you spend your money destroying your health. And when you're older, you spend your money trying to regain it.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's so funny. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, it's MAHA what?
Now.
MAHA now. .org, .com, what?
.org.
.org? Okay. Guys, if you need this again, you missed it, write us back.
I stuck it in the chat.
Oh, yeah, that's a new feature. MAHA now.
Oh, you're the only one who can see it. That sucks. How do I not make it private?
Hold on.
Make it unprivate.
How do I do that?
I don't know. This stupid thing.
Oh, right there. It says private, YouTube, locals, all. There. Do you have a choice?
Wait, I don't, but you just changed it, didn't you? Oh no,
No. Hold on.
put it in there. You type it.
No.
.org.
.org, right? Okay.
Yep.
Can you see it now?
Ah, okay. I see it from
See, it's
Jackie
on
Sack
Rumble.
tweet.
It's
I
on
see it from you twice. Yeah.
Twitch.
Now. Yep.
It's probably going to be on
yep.
YouTube in a little bit. They heard us
So
say it.
that came from a video. That came from a video where Robert Kennedy was talking about yellow dye number something, some number, and it's a byproduct of what, coal production, right? So it's insane. It's the same as seed oils. Seed oils is a waste product. So we take these waste products and we put them into our food system. And so he absolutely wants to get rid of a lot of stuff that other countries, especially in Europe, have already gotten rid of. And yet we allow it here, right? I don't know if you saw Fruit Loops in the US is super bright, and the Fruit Loops in Canada is all dim. And why? Because they don't allow you to use these toxic colors and dyes and stuff.
I feel bad for the children. I really do.
Dude, we ate that shit. I feel bad for everyone. We ate that shit too. I'd probably have way more hair.
That's right. I'd have way less strokes. So
right?
Anyway,
probably.
Thank you for your time. Dream Team seems like it's already in effect. If we hear anything new, we'll post about it on social media. But in the meantime,
look, it's just a matter of hope. We just got to hope now, right? Yeah. This has never been done before, so not at this level, and not with this kind of goal in mind.
Yeah. So be patient. It could take a few tries at things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're gonna break some eggs, dude. They're not gonna do it right. It's not gonna be perfect.
Eggs. That sounds good.
I know, right?
All right. So we can pick this up next week.
Yep. Talk to you later.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.